The sounds of the sonar are loud, so they have to shout over it to be heard. That was close! Thank you, Chef! The chef nods. What now? We need to get off this boat. Jim is looking at the control panel. There's an island not too far off. We'll head there. Sarah and Jim embrace, while Doug takes the controls to turn the boat towards the island. The four are tired and haggard as they start to sail along. The only sound that can be heard is the deafening blare of the sonar. The chef leans up against the wall, crosses his arms, and closes his eyes. After 20 minutes, Doug pipes up. Look, he says, pointing to the horizon. The island is just coming into view. The cheering and hollering wakes up the chef, who gets up from the floor. Underneath their cheers, the noise of the sonar stops as sparks and smoke rises from the console. They look down at it in horror. The boat's motor then comes to a grinding halt. From the wheelhouse, they can see crewmen shaking their heads and slowly coming to. What do we do? The thing will come back here again! Jim is lifting the panels of the instruments to see smoke billowing out. It's done. Grab what you can. We'll get on a lifeboat and go towards the island. As they grab their supplies, people can be heard running up the portside stairs. They look up to see a mob of crewmen that stop at the doorway. They look behind them, only to see another big group of sailors running up the starboard stairs. Looking back towards the first mob, they see the men split to the side as Captain Greggs emerges. Wretches, you all have made a huge mistake, and now you'll pay. The chef pushes Jim and Doug out of the way and stares down the captain. Turning his head slightly, but not leaving Greg's gaze, the chef speaks. Get off the boat, Doug protests. But, go, yells the chef as he pulls out his two cleavers. Chef! My name is Kyriakos. The captain slowly pulls out a long saber from under his peacoat. The sound of the blade scraping the scabbard gives the team chills. This one's mine, boys. The two men scream and start dueling in a spectacular display of swordplay. Doug takes this moment of distraction to pull on Jim and Sarah's arms. Let's go, he shouts, and rushes to the starboard side stairs. With all of his momentum, Doug barrels into the crewman leading the charge up the stairs and sends them all falling down in a huge pile of arms and legs. This strategy works against Doug, as now he is surrounded by crewmen, grabbing and pummeling him. He looks up for a moment to see Jim and Sarah on the stairs trying to fight off a group of sailors, but being horribly outnumbered. Meanwhile, the wheelhouse is ablaze with clinks and clacks as metal clashes on metal. Blades fly through the air as the two stout men battle it out. Greggs kicks Kyriakos' hand, sending a cleaver flying through the air. As Kyriakos blocks another blow with his remaining cleaver, he pulls a meat hook out from under his apron, hooks the captain's arm, and pulls Greggs towards him, headbutting Greggs with crushing force. Greggs stammers back, almost falling over, touches his forehead to feel a stream of blood trickling down. Furious, the captain raises his saber and charges at Kyriakos. Doug is bruised and bloody as the crew drags him to the edge of the boat. Jim? Sarah? He hears Sarah's voice behind him. We're here, Doug. I'm sorry, guys, says Doug, heavy with shame. The two men on each side of Doug lift him up to the railing and get ready to toss him over. Doug looks over the edge of the boat to the watery grave below. A loud shot is heard, and blood sprays all over Doug's face. The man on his side drops. Another shot, and the other man flies over the edge of the boat. Doug looks over to the front of the boat to see Jill Fuller standing on top of some crates next to the lifeboat, taking aim with a rifle. The rest of the men drop Jim and Sarah and charge Jill. Jill picks them off one by one. Doug rushes to Jill. Jill? What are you doing here? Get on the boat, she shouts, motioning to the lifeboat. Doug and Jim help Sarah onto the boat as Jill continues to shoot at oncoming crewmen. Jim starts to get onto the lifeboat when Doug stops him. Wait, Doug shouts, and pulls a tarp off a nearby crate to expose a pile of torpedoes. Help me load some on! As the two load the old World War II torpedoes onto the lifeboat, Jill runs out of ammo, throws down the rifle, and from her belt line pulls out a revolver. Hurry up! She shouts as she continues firing into the oncoming mass of crewmen. Doug and Jim have loaded on 3 torpedoes when Sarah shouts, Let's go! Let's go! What about Kyriakos? There's no time, shouts Jill. Jim and Doug get onto the lifeboat. Jill jumps aboard from the crates and immediately starts loading her revolver. Jim and Doug start letting slack on the ropes to lower the lifeboat as Sarah primes the motor. Crewmen appear over the edge of the boat, and Jill takes aim and fires. They lower the boat onto the water, Sarah starts the motor, and they take off towards the island. As they pull away from the ship, they can see Kyriakos from the window of the wheelhouse in a desperate battle with Greggs. Doug lowers his head. In the wheelhouse, the two bruised and bloody men continue their skirmish. Greggs swings his sword at Kyriakos, who catches it again with a meat hook and buries it into the control panel. With Greggs' sword momentarily stuck, Kyriakos lets go of the meat hook, swings his arm and hits Greggs upside the head so hard that the glass eye pops out the other side. Greggs dislodges his sword with unbound fury and throws Kyriakos back into the wheelhouse floor. The life craft is about a third of the way from the boat to the island. What are you doing here? I came to kill that thing. Do you have a metal plate in your head? What are you talking about? And why are you wearing those stupid hats? To keep the octopus from controlling our minds. Didn't it? Yeah. Then how did you stop it? When I started hearing the dark voices, I just said no. Look. In the distance, they can see the octopus mounting the starboard side of the boat. Oh no. Kyriakos looks over his shoulder to see the octopus tearing at the boat. Greggs uses this distraction to kick him, causing him to fall on top of the control panel. Before Kyriakos can react, Greggs plunges his saber through Kyriakos' back and deep into the control panel. Stuck there, looking at the octopus, Kyriakos writhes in pain. One less cook! Kyriakos looks down at a tarp blowing over a crate in front of the octopus. Underneath the tarp, he sees the crate is full of torpedoes. While Greggs is busy laughing, Kyriakos raises his cleaver with his free hand and throws it at the head of a torpedo. Doug, Jill, Jim, and Sarah see a great flash, and 3 giant tentacles fly into the air, detached from the octopus's body. A second later, they hear a loud boom and are almost knocked to the deck of their small craft. They cheer and holler as the boat goes up in flames and starts to sink. Their cheers are not long-lived, however, as from the wreckage, they see something in the water break, headed right for them. The octopus, injured and not as fast as it was before, but faster than their lifeboat, limps towards them. What are we gonna do? Jim looks at the octopus, then looks at their distance to the island. We're not gonna make it. Doug gets Jim attention. Here! And starts lifting a torpedo to the edge of the boat. Doug pulls out his pipe wrench, hits the torpedo near the propeller, and it starts whizzing loudly. They let the torpedo drop in the water, and it scoots around wildly, buzzing in every direction, knocking against the hull, and then shooting off in the opposite direction, exploding 70 yards in front of the boat. They look back to the octopus, which is gaining ground. Hurry, says Doug. Another! They put their second torpedo over the edge. Doug hits it with a pipe wrench, and it starts off in the direction of the octopus, before veering off. Crap, says Doug. They go to grab their last round, when Doug looks up to see the torpedo they just shot off starting to turn back their way. Jim, without hesitating, jumps into the water and starts swimming towards the torpedo as fast as he can. No! Shouts Doug. Sarah screams and tries to jump in after him, but Doug stops her. Sarah is going into hysterics. Jim swims into the oncoming torpedo, and it explodes just out of range of the boat. Jim, whispers Doug while holding Sarah. No time! Shouts Jill and grabs Doug. Jill and Doug pick up the torpedo. The small boat is rocking back and forth violently from the wake of the explosion. It's almost impossible to take aim as the octopus bears down on them. Wait for it, shouts Jill. The octopus starts emerging fully from the water, its tentacles and stumps flailing wildly. Now! Doug knocks the side of the torpedo, and it takes off, burying itself right into the octopus. The explosion is so close to the boat that it knocks the members overboard and into the water. When they finally surface, pieces of octopus are still raining down on them. With their boat destroyed, they grab whatever floating debris they can find and make it to the shore of the island. In the last shot of the movie, you see the camera panning across an island paradise. It pans to the beach, where you see huge pieces of tentacle laid out to spell help. The survivors sit on the beach by a fire, eating from makeshift bowls made up of curled up palm leaves and using branches for chopsticks. They sit in silence, chewing on their rubbery food. Then Doug finally speaks. It's a little gamey,